Big news, AFTV are coming to Ghana. We are coming to Ghana in Africa between the 6th and 12th of February, and we're going to be meeting Ghanaian Arsenal fans and doing a watch party around the West Ham versus Arsenal football game. You do not want to miss this, so Ghana, get ready. We are coming. AFTV.
Hi, and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with fans who link with January transfer move to Arsenal. Hi, and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a January transfer move to Arsenal. First of all, if I touch on the transfer news for today, some good news coming out at last from Arsenal yesterday. First of all, surrounding Thomas Partey, really good news that there's been no setbacks to the injury that's kept him out since November? Start of November. Well, I think November's when he had the surgery on it. He was out even just before that, but that injury's kept him out for a long time. He's, been rehabilitating, and the good news is it's looking like he's going to be ready to play for Arsenal by the end of this month. A lot of speculation that he could be available for the game against Nottingham Forest away, which takes place on the 30th of January. And that would be really, really good news for Arsenal to get him back into the squad. If we can get him from now till the end of the season, that would be brilliant. There's also said to be no chance of him going over to Ghana going to play for Ghana in the African Cup of Nations. And on the Ghana thing, don't forget, we're coming to Ghana soon. I'm really excited about that with AFTV. But that's good news on Thomas Partey. Also, some good news on Gabriel Jesus. He was out with a minor injury that kept him out of the game against Liverpool. He's said to be, progressing fine as well, and should be available straight after the winter break. So hopefully available for that game against Crystal Palace at home. So positive, those bits of news. However, we know it's transfer season. We want to see some new players coming in. Now, the big news yesterday, and James did a breaking news story on it last night, was all about Borja Mayoral of Getafe. The 26-year-old striker, heavily linked with a move to Arsenal yesterday, said that Arsenal put a bid in of £22 million for the striker. They bid that. It's said to have been rejected by Getafe. Getafe said to be looking for around about £39 million. It's going to be a negotiation thing by the looks of it if this is taking place. But positive, I feel, that Arsenal are trying to get a striker. Now, I have to admit, I didn't know a lot about this guy and until I started doing a lot of research on him. He's sort of been one of them under the radar strikers. And funny enough, we were asking a couple of days ago, who's the striker? Who should we get? No one really suggesting Mayoral. Really interesting that Brentford have been really interested in Mayoral as a replacement for Ivan Toney if Ivan Toney went elsewhere in January. That was all the links that have been happening from December around this guy, but he hasn't really been previously linked with Arsenal. Now, he scored 12 goals this season in La Liga. The only player that has scored more goals than him in La Liga this season has been Jude Bellingham. So, been very, very impressive for Getafe, where he forms a partnership up front with Mason Greenwood, of ex of Manchester United. But Arsenal said to have put this £20 million bid in, which, as I said, the rumours are it's been rejected. Getafe looking for more, but Getafe would be willing to sell, and the player himself would be willing to come. He's previously played for Real Madrid. He came through the ranks at Real Madrid, through their academy, never quite made it there. He's been one of these players that have been out on loan a lot, loan at Roma, various different places, but really on fire this season at Getafe. Now, will Arsenal bring him in before the end of the January transfer window? Of course, sounds like it's early in the negotiations. And I'll say that at the moment, it's rumours. There's nothing concrete down that this has actually happened, but it is absolutely everywhere today. So let's see how that one develops out. But positive if indeed Arsenal are trying to get a striker. Ask you guys a question. If you know of him and you've seen him regularly in La Liga, How good is he? Let us know in the comments below. And also, is he that striker that takes Arsenal to the next level? Where do you stand on it? Or, for you, is it positive that Arsenal are trying to get at least a striker out there? Would love to hear from you on this. Martin Zubimendi is another player over there in Spain who's been excellent for a couple of seasons now for Real Sociedad. A really, really talented midfield player. Has been heavily linked with Arsenal. But last season, in the January transfer window, Arsenal was said to have been interested in him. Didn't get him. Zubimendi didn't want to leave. Wanted to try and drive Real Sociedad into the Champions League places, which he did. Now, the Spanish publication Mundo Deportivo, reporting yesterday that Martin Zubimendi is a target for Arsenal and that they may be willing to meet that release clause that he has at the moment of £51.6 million, which, you know, I know it's a bit tight for money at Arsenal at the moment, but that's, you know, for a player of his quality and the way he's been spoken about, that's not too bad. Real Sociedad as well said to be, you know, resigned to the fact that they are going to lose Zubimendi. They're just not sure whether it's going to be in the summer or this January. And according to Mundo Deportivo, Arsenal willing to meet that release clause. Lots of other clubs are said to be very interested in him, including other teams in the Premier League. We've heard in the past that one of those teams is Manchester City. Could this force Arsenal to try and move and get him right now, this January transfer window? I wouldn't say it's a priority, especially if Partey's coming back, or should we be not relying on that at all? But if somebody else moves in, tries to get him in a release clause, your chances of getting him in the summer, well, they're gone, isn't it? Because he's gone to another club. So, be interesting to see what happens with that. Do also have the budget to do that this January transfer window. But Martin Zubimendi being heavily linked with a move to Arsenal today. What about Eddie Nketiah? We're talking about, you know, a little while ago about Borja Mayoral. Where does that leave a player like Eddie Nketiah? If we bring in another striker, does that mean that we have to offload a striker? Eddie Nketiah said to be valued by Arsenal at around that £35 million. Wanted by Crystal Palace, wanted by West Ham. In fact, talked today that Crystal Palace willing to ramp up their efforts to try and get Eddie Nketiah. Now, could this be that domino effect where it's like you get Mayoral, you sell Nketiah? Who knows? I mean, Nketiah is Premier League ready. He knows about the Premier League, but he's not scored the goals in the Premier League. So maybe it does need a freshness. Maybe they do bring in this striker from Getafe and sacrifice Eddie Nketiah. Who knows? Who knows? But still, he's wanted. He's wanted by Crystal Palace. He's wanted by West Ham. Arsenal want around about £35 million. If they got that, that would pay for the other incoming striker and also give them, I guess, you know, wiggle room to go again in the summer for an even bigger striker. Going to be interesting to see what happens with Eddie Nketiah between now and the end of the January transfer window. And another Arsenal player who seems to be, you know, creating a lot of interest out there is Charlie Patino. Charlie Patino has been on loan at Swansea this season, been having a very good loan as well. Very good player. Very, very good player, Charlie Patino. 20 years of age, midfield player. We've seen him at Arsenal, you know, in a couple of games. The only thing about him is he's just always been probably a little bit lightweight. He's a young player. But we know you go to that Championship, that toughens you up, that strengthens you up. And he's really thriving in the Championship. Now, Juventus are said to be very, very interested in signing Charlie Patino. They even had scouts watching him again in their game at the weekend. I think they played in the FA Cup against Morecambe. Charlie Patino scored 4 goals now for Swansea. And I remember speaking to a Swansea fan a couple of months ago who was saying to me that, hey, Robbie, this kid is brilliant. You know what I mean? They really, really like him there. So could Juventus come in for Charlie Patino? Do also want to keep hold of Charlie Patino with the hope that he comes back to the club in the future. But I'm going to be interesting to see what happens with him. Again, you know, if they go out and buy a striker, it could be a matter of trying to raise funds to fund that. And could Charlie Patino be one of those players that they use to make money? But Juventus, that's a big club interested in Charlie Patino. So those are the rumours today. As I said, the big one about the striker Zubimendi. Want to hear from you guys in the comments. Let me know if you think any of those two will be suitable for Arsenal. Thanks for watching the show. Don't forget to check out all of our excellent content here on AFTV. Some brilliant supporters clubs out right now with Turkish, so make sure you check that out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.